Welcome back, everybody, to the Wham, to another big episode of our local to global journey here on TEW IX. We've got an eventful episode on deck as we've got to prepare for the Glory Gauntlet event. And part of that preparation is going to be filling the junior heavyweight division with a little bit more formidable talent. As of right now, we'd be strapped to putting Kamari Flanders, Jeremy Funderburk, and Jackson Barden a part of that match, and to be honest, they're just not there yet. So we're looking at Dean Florian, former Wham member. He spent a year with us back through most of 1928. He spent most of the year with us in 1928, and he's been working with CSW and TWA since then. He's built up a little bit of popularity for himself, not much. As you can see, nothing exceeds 16 in America, but he's got some good stats. He's still got some chance to grow as well. Nothing holding him back, and I think he can just kind of slide right in and help produce some better performances than some of our lower junior heavyweights, which may not be on the roster come at the end of this video. But we're gonna make the play for Dean Florian for him to come back, except I am going to just make it 6 months and we'll hear back from him soon. And we're also going to sign Akihiko Onoda, the brother of Fumihiko Onoda. We'll sign him for 3 months and see what kind of impact he can make, how he can fit it on the roster, and I imagine he will respond to us with some good news. However, it is time to get into our first edition of the Fortnite Fisticuffs of this episode. We got some pre-show matches, got 3 of them here, and Jeremy Funderburk and Sean Kaiser get us started off as Sean Kaiser picks up a win as he continues to get his legs underneath him here in the Wham. This is only his second match, if I'm not mistaken, here in our company. Gets an in-ring performance of 27 for the newcomer. Jeremy Funderburk with a 34 leading the match. Only 19 years old, but the man is getting better. He's got lots of time to get better. And Jeremy Funderburk is definitely a project for sure, whereas we are looking for a little bit more immediate impact from some of our other signings. But Funderburk's going to be sticking around for a while, regardless of what his output is looking like within his first couple years. I'm just saying. Our next pre-show match, tag team action, bringing Moses Loya and Yoshimi Yahara into the ring together as they defeat Brian Hatcher and Rawa Boy. Moses Loya is really coming into his own. He's getting 60s at a consistent rate, and he's continuing to do good work for himself. And we added Mariana Calvo as the official manager of Rawa Boy as they were teaming up for a while. She's got good managerial abilities, so I don't want to just leave that land on the wayside. So she does some good work for Rawa Boy at ringside. Yoshimi Yahara is getting a little bit better. He gets an in-ring performance of 36. That's looking much better. Brian Hatcher, 46, Moses Lilia, 61, and Rawa Boy, 49, as the team of Lilia and Yahara pick up the victory, match rating of 53. Our final pre-show match is a 6-person tag team match featuring our tag champs and Annalena Pena going up against Maxwell Ham, Woodrow Gunter, and Talia Rayleigh. Strong performances from the men, and Annalena Pena is going to be good in the women's division. Talia Rayleigh, not bad. She's surrounded by some good talent, so that definitely helped her, I think. She got an in-ring performance of 38, Gunter with a 55, Maxwell Ham with a 56, Annalena Pena with a 45, Kitahachi Kikui 52, and Diego Bergen with a 56, as Annalena Pena pinned Talia Rayleigh to give her team the victory. Our first match of the night has got Turner Spittler just belt to ass on Jackson Barden here, and it's not pretty. He dominates this match, and he gets an in-ring performance of 57 while doing it. Jackson Barden with a 29, match rating of 40. Not the best way to get things going. I did screw up the order of my booking. This was supposed to be the first segment of the night, but it doesn't have any major effect on the show. As far as how the story gets told, it would have helped that last match with the crowd heat, but it doesn't matter. The Wham OGs, led by Neil Allman, are in the ring. Neil Allman cuts a promo, claiming despite coming up short in their most recent efforts, the Wham OGs still run this company and are the reason for the promotion's success. He reminds everyone of their talent and tenacity, promising it's only a matter of time before they are back in a position of power and championship accolade. Albie Dewberry and Bronson Fraley escorting Neil Allman to the ring as basically his backup, more or less. They don't speak in this segment, it's all Neil Allman, as he is that man. He gets a segment rating of 54. Our next match, a one-on-one match featuring the ladies as Burbidia Abeta and Rhea Quarry are in the ring. And Burbidia Abeta has really established herself as that next tier, maybe not quite on the same level of Mio and Veronica Letter, but she, just like Annalena Pena, is going to be very, very good. Unfortunately, Rhea Quarry is not up to that level, maybe yet, maybe ever, who knows. But Rhea Quarry gets an in-ring performance of 30, Birbidia Abeta an in-ring performance of 46 as she picks up the victory. If you don't remember from the last episode, Birbidia Abeta and Annalena Pena teamed up to defeat Mio and Rhea Quarry, as Rhea Quarry is Mio's little bit of backup that she's got, as they do work in Japan together. So that's the connection there. And we got Birbidia Abeta picking up the victory on Mio's ally, I guess, for lack of a better word. Match rating of 42. Now getting ready for the next match, as Rocco Lockwood was making his way down to the ring for a scheduled match with Chuck Wellington for the Oklahoma Openweight Championship. He was ambushed by Duke and Chuck. The Wellingtons would dismantle the former tag team champion, leaving him in no shape to compete tonight. The Wellington dynasty began to celebrate what they expected to be a forfeit, until Super Monkey and Super Rabbit stormed the ring to put a noble end to their chicanery. Super Monkey would challenge Chuck, to which Chuck did not take seriously, laughing at the request but accepting the match, not fully aware of the challenge on his hands. So we get a segment rating of 40. Super Monkey came out of this looking excellent, so I can only imagine what we would have got if he wasn't there. Would not have been great. But Super Monkey basically coming out, pointing the finger at Chuck Wellington. He's saying, "You are not a good man, and I'm gonna put an end to it. I challenge you for your title." Chuck Wellington, he isn't aware of how good Super Monkey is, and he basically laughs it off. He's like, yeah, whatever. He's feeling on top of the world, he's feeling invincible, and he accepts the match. And in that match, for the very first time ever, we would see a change of hands in the Oklahoma Openweight Championship, as for the first time as well, a junior heavyweight takes the title from a heavyweight, a singles title anyway. I'd have to look at the tag team records and everything, but I don't know if we've ever had a junior heavyweight holding the tag team titles, but I'm getting distracted now. Super Monkey handling business, just taking Chuck Wellington by storm, never giving him any moment to rest. Super Rabbit was able to nullify the attempts made by the Wellington boys ringside, and Super Monkey in 7.5 minutes, thanks to a top rope leg drop, defeats Chuck Wellington 5 days before the 1-year mark of his championship reign, really gutting him in that way. But Super Monkey, thanks to an in-ring performance of 67, is your new Oklahoma Openweight Champion. And Chuck Wellington, in-ring performance of 44, not bad work by any means, and we get a match rating of 61. The crowd is elated that Super Monkey has finally put an end to the shenanigans that is Chuck Wellington's title reign. Now moving into our next match, the junior heavyweight main event, a triple threat match between 3 very good junior heavyweights, as we've got Archie Filer, Albie Dewberry, and Joe Cartwright going at it. Archie Filer was really off of his game, but he still picked up the dub, with an in-ring performance of 67 at that. Albie Dewberry, maybe he's not as good as we thought he'd be coming right back into the Wham. He still needs to raise his popularity a little bit. He's going to be alright, but he only gets a 47, struggling to keep up with the other two. And Joe Cartwright with a 64, very good for himself. Match rating of 62 as Archie Filer comes out on top. And after the match, Archie Filer is interviewed by Wayne Blankenship. Filer acknowledges Hermenegildo Ramirez's refusal to give him another title shot, and claims that when he gets into the Glory Gauntlet match, there will be nowhere for Ramirez to run, and no excuses he can make when Filer becomes the new junior heavyweight champion. Quick promo, Archie Filer just making the declaration that he's going to become the new champ after the Glory Gauntlet. Segment rating of 46. Now our main event, the best match in Wham history by a long shot right now. Our very first green match rating. I think this is only our second green numbered match rating that we've ever got, and that hypes me up. We got Sebastian Morales, Viva La Lucha star, champion of like 4+ years, challenging Black Bull for the heavyweight championship, as Sebastian Morales isn't always available for our big monthly events. But Black Bull in a big battle, clashing styles. Sebastian Morales is a heavyweight, but he is more of a high-flying heavyweight. He just barely is in that threshold for the weight division, and it's just a huge contrasting of styles, as Sebastian Morales really struggles against the giant that is Black Bull. He's like 6'6", 300 pounds. Don't forget that. He's a big dude. And despite Sebastian Morales' skill, his finesse, his agility, his quickness, Black Bull imposes his will. 'on the challenger. And we get a physical match, but ultimately Black Bull is able to defeat the very, very good competitor that is Sebastian Morales, the former Wham heavyweight champion that is Sebastian Morales at that. They tried to steal the show, boy, they stole the whole company with that one. Match rating of 74, Sebastian Morales with an in-ring performance of 73, Black Bull with a 63, not bad on his own end. They were fired up and they delivered. Now a tense moment arises after the match as Sebastian Morales offers a handshake to Black Bull. Black Bull is unsure how to perceive this notion given how many times he's been stabbed in the back. Morales is still with his arm extended, but Gary Gimmick is behind Bull, speaking in his ear. Black Bull refuses the handshake, striking down Morales instead before leaving the ring. Morales is very much a babyface in as much of a sense as of that we have them right now. And, he was probably pretty genuine in his handshake. I don't think he was planning on pulling any kind of shit here, but Black Bull just showing the transformation of his character that he just doesn't trust anybody. Except for Gary Gimmick, I suppose. Even if you're a good guy like Sebastian Morales. Strong way to end the night. Huge show, massive main event, overall show rating of 69. If it's not the best, it's tying the best in Wham history, but it is not enough to grow our popularity in all 6 regions. Unfortunately, we have hit the cap in the Mid-South, it seems. And of course, we praise Talia Rayleigh, Duke Wellington, and Mariana Calvo. Nice profits of 70 grand. We are creeping up on $1 million in our bankroll. And okay, I'm wrong. We hit the cap in the Southwest and we do grow in the Mid-South. That makes a lot more sense considering we had that show in the Southwest. I'd be surprised if that show wasn't enough to grow our popularity in the Mid-South, but we move up from 57 to 58, meaning we just need 1 more point in the Mid-South and 2 more points in the Southwest to move up to that medium size. And Emilio Suarez's contract just came to an end, so we're gonna bring him back. We just had him on 2 appearances last time, but we're gonna change it to 3 months this time around. Mariana Calvo, we've also got a few annoyed workers, and we're gonna try to chip into them with just a couple of our the character ideas that we got from the last show. This one was a failure. That is not what we're looking for. Okay, so no 2 failures in a row. That's unfortunate. Damn. Okay, so we're gonna have to deal with that. Mariana Calvo is now on the watch list. And we got word back from our first 2 signings. Dean Florian and Akihiko Onoda have both accepted their contracts. And with that being done, we are going to let Jackson Barden and Kamari Flanders walk. They were integral to repairing the morale here in the Wham, but we've also replaced their positive personalities with workers that are just as good in the ring and younger. So Jackson Barden's going to get a new contract for 1 appearance, as is Kamari Flanders. It's unfortunate. I have a deep appreciation for them, but they're just not doing anything to enhance the company anymore. Emilio Suarez also accepted his contracts. Now we're just waiting on the confirmation of Barden and Flanders. And a big signing in the world of wrestling in our database, Denise Desjardins is one of the pre-created wrestlers that are a part of the Effganic Genesis database. She just came in the database 2 years ago. As you can see, not much of a wrestler, but exceptional performance abilities coming from the world of modeling, but she's got no athletic background. So she's going to be big for segments and she's probably going to compete in matches, but she's not going to be the best worker necessarily, but she's going to gain a lot of popularity, I think. We've also got Diego Bergen, who is big mad that we brought Emilio Suarez back into the company again. He didn't get this mad last time, but he certainly didn't like it. We've got so much money, we're going to give him a $1,000 bonus just to get him out of angry. And it literally does nothing for our finances. So if we wanted to, we could just do that for every morale issue, but it's not really something I want to always use. As we head to the next event, we get a notice that Moses Lilia received contract offer from SPW, but he turned that thing down. What a man. I love Moses Lilia for that. Thank you, sir. And it really does help now that we've declared war on SPW, that the wrestlers know that if SPW sends them a contract offer, that it means that they are leaving. So I'm glad to see that Moses Lilia wanted to stick with the Wham. I'm really starting to appreciate him. Look at that, 44 popularity here in the Mid-South. This dude's going to be a beast in the database. Albie Dewberry has also officially left Goof Wrestling, so we'll see a signing from them, and his absence from SPW also probably triggered that contract offer to Moses Lilia. Ollie Schaefer got signed by TWA, so he'll be getting a little bit more experience for a little while. Good for him. And Friedrich Herzog, still active in America, doing a tour date. in TWA. Now checking back at Goof's last wrestling event, I believe this was their first event without Albie Dewberry, and they get all yellow, no red in their match card. That's good for them. 2 title matches in this edition as Lionel Seidel continues his reign as the Goof Intercontinental Champion, defeating Charlie Thompson. Taylor Simmons, still the king of Goof over there, despite Princeton Willard actually getting the best in-ring performance of their main event title match. That's a former Wham guy, good for him. Super Estrella still not doing great as far as their ratings are going, and they've got to have serious production issues or something, because they've got a main event that probably should be scoring at like a 40 at least, maybe a 44, but that main event just got a 37, so they're missing some pieces over here in Super Estrella Lucha Libre, but I don't think it's the wrestlers. And SPW issues continue as their combat television goes off air again. They just lost a bunch of their slots. I don't know if it had to have been because they just couldn't provide the ratings that their broadcasters wanted, but I mean, they're not having bad shows. Show rating of 58 here with a good main event, 61, and not really what you want it to be, I guess, for where they're at in their company, but losing Daniel Loisel really fucked up this company, I gotta say. And it wasn't exactly my intention. Maybe we go through and give them some ulterior assistance to help them get back on track. What do you guys think? But on the bright side, we've got Iron Elias Kruger picking up W's here in SPW over Keith Truex, in-ring performance of 36. Elias Kruger is now 6-2 in SPW. Well, here's the reason that their television tapings were so bad. Show rating of 32, that's unfortunate. Joe Boone looks like he has fallen out of main event status as he only got an in-ring performance of 25 here, but he's still main eventing the show. Going back a few shows, you can see Blackjack Brutus Malloy took a loss against Leroy Race in his last match. QCW's losing their broadcast deals. Their shows are very up and down. That's a bit of an issue that they've got, as they have some really popular characters, but they've also got some characters with no popularity, so it's a little tough for QCW in that way, I suppose. They do have Daniel Loisel, who is a guaranteed good match on every card. I don't know why they don't just put him in the main event every time, but I'm not them. However, it seems that they do not have George Cavendish on this show. That's unfortunate. Gorgeous Gretzky getting some work in TWA. His last match, he had an in-ring performance of 40. Came up short, unfortunately, but not bad work there. He's definitely hanging with some good names. And over in FNP, Henry Leadhands Worthshire picking up a victory in tag team action, and he's got an in-ring performance of 59. He's looking good, I ain't gonna lie. I kind of want to bring him in, but I'm putting a weight on all of your guys' submissions, just because if I did that, our whole roster would be full of them, because I love every character that was brought into it. I thought it was great. And Kenny Wiles is getting up there in age. He's 60 years old, and we've also run into a couple instances where it would have been really beneficial to have a second referee on our roster. So I think it's time that we bring in a second referee. Jerome Parks is, I think, one of the only unemployed referees left in the database. However, he doesn't reside in America and doesn't work in America, so hopefully, there we go. He is active in America, and we're going to bring him on. However, we're not going to see his response or be able to use him until after this next show. However, we got some things to address in this next edition of the Fortnite Fisticuffs. 3 pre-show matches will get us ready for the main card. They're all tag team matches because I wanted to just fit as many names as we could onto this card. At least the pre-show anyway, as I really want to have these junior heavyweights fully acclimated into the WHAM before the Glory Gauntlet. Now we've got Maxwell Ham and Dean Florian making his return back to the WHAM, teaming up to defeat Rolla Boy and RT Lincoln, as Maxwell Ham is the one to pick up the victory, the pinfall, thanks to the Dominator. He got an in-ring performance of 55, Dean Florian had a 37, RT Lincoln had a 60, and Rolla Boy had a 48. Match rating of 54 as our pre-show matches get going. Next match, not as good as the first, as we've got Yoshimi Yahara and Sean Kaiser, 2 new junior heavyweights teaming up to get the surprising victory over 2 heavyweights, August Washburn and Brian Hatcher. However, August Washburn was the one that ate the pin. August Washburn was the one to submit after Yoshimi Yahara locked in that crossface chicken wing. Sean Kaiser lowest performance of the match alongside August Washburn at 30. Yoshimi Yahara had a 38 despite being off of his game, and Brian Hatcher had a 42. Good work from Hatcher. He's very solid in terms of at least getting 40s and such. Our final pre-show match is the debut of Akihiko Onoda, as he is privileged enough to team alongside Archie Filer and pick up a victory, as Archie Filer just absolutely shined, defeating Jeremy Funderburk and Jackson Barden. No big surprise there. Jackson Barden, this is his final appearance here in the WAM, and he will be taking his leave with a performance of 33. Akihiko Onoda only with a 27, but he's got zero popularity here in the Mid-South. Archie Filer, the man, with a 74, and Jeremy Funderburk with a 36. Now, unfortunately, we see the worst match that we've seen in a long time on our actual main card, as I forgot to shorten the length of this match, and it was even placed in the wrong spot. This was not supposed to be the opening segment of the show. I did it again. Unfortunately, we get hit with a lot of penalties, lack of psychology, dragging in the middle. Ollie Schaefer was really off of his game. With all that being said, Moses Lilia was still able to turn in an in-ring performance of 60 and pick up the victory over what was his tag team partner for a while, Ollie Schaefer. Ollie Schaefer was blaming Moses Lilia for their losses, for their inability to capture the tag team titles. Moses Lilia basically said, "I'm not the problem, and I'm willing to prove that in a match against you." And he does basically prove that, showing that he is not the weak link in this tag team. Match rating of 36, that's going to be hard to recover from. However, Neil Allman is once again in the ring to start the show. This was supposed to be the opening segment, not that last match, citing offensive wrongdoings from management by awarding Sebastian Morales a title shot at the last event. Neil Allman talks down on Morales, Viva la Lucha, and his status as El Campeón. Neil Allman challenges Morales to a match this evening to prove that a Viva la Lucha competitor has no business in the heavyweight title scene. Neil Allman improvising very well in this segment, as we can expect him to do. We even got a plus from Albie Dewberry doing some fine improvisation. Quick segment rating of 59, as we do in fact have a match between Neil Allman and Sebastian Morales for our main event. Up next, we've got Turner Spittler and Kamari Flanders. These guys don't click at all, and we knew it going into this match, but we still ran this match anyway, as Kamari Flanders takes a punishing defeat to Turner Spittler as his last bit of service here in the WAM. We only get a match rating of 43, not that great, but Turner Spittler just continuing to dominate anytime he's in the ring, to the exception of when he's in the ring with the WAM Heavyweight Champion, given that Black Bull is the only man to defeat Turner Spittler as of late. Not a lot of meat and potatoes to this match. Turner Spittler just BTA on Kamari Flanders. Thank you, Kamari Flanders, for your services to the WAM. However, as Turner Spittler began to make his way back to the curtain, the lights were cut. When they returned, the Dark Carnival was at the curtain. Bryant Hines held a microphone, claiming Turner Spittler is a stain on the WAM and will have severe consequences coming to him. Quick segment rating of 42, as the Dark Carnival peeks their head back up into the WAM. We haven't seen them in a while in real capacity, basically sending a message to Turner Spittler that they've got their eye on him and he may be in for some trouble. However, in the next segment, Hermenegildo Ramirez is interviewed ahead of his scheduled title defense tonight. Ramirez balks at the idea of having to defend his title as the Glory Gauntlet nears, but assures that he will do what he always does and come out on top tonight. He then changes topics and addresses Archie Filer's comments from the last event, stating he is not guaranteed to even be in the match, let alone make it to the end. Quick segment rating of 49, Hermenegildo is getting better in these segments. Wayne Blankenship was the interviewer here, stating that Archie Filer better not get too far ahead of himself, as it seems that not all spots have been determined in the Glory Gauntlet as of now. Segment rating of 49. Now in our next match, we get a nice tag team match with the new Oklahoma Openweight Champion, Super Monkey, teaming alongside Super Rabbit as they take on the Wellington brothers, Duke and Chuck. Super Monkey ended the nearly 1 year-long reign of Chuck Wellington's Oklahoma Openweight inaugural championship, shocking the aristocrat by challenging him to a match after he attacked what would have been his scheduled competitor before the match, Rocco Lockwood. He was taken out, he was not given a title shot. Super Monkey came out, he called BS, challenged Chuck to a match. Chuck wasn't taking him seriously. He accepted the match, and he lost his title. And we can see that Super Monkey deserves to hold some kind of gold, as he got an in-ring performance of 71, carrying the match. Super Rabbit got a 29, despite being the one to take the loss. Chuck Wellington, 44, and Duke Wellington with a 36, and the ending of this match is notable, because Chuck Wellington, despite this being an intergendered match, Chuck Wellington held nothing back on Super Rabbit. He knew that he had the advantage if Super Rabbit was the legal one on the team. He smacked her with a big closed fist strike, ending the match and giving the victory to the Wellington boys. Super Monkey was livid about this one, as he thought it was BS that Chuck Wellington was as aggressive as he was with Super Rabbit, but Super Rabbit, she was hurting to be in the match. Super Monkey was kind of hesitant to get her in the match, but she was fired up. She came in for a hot tag. She had a full head of steam, but Chuck Wellington basically killed that momentum. Match rating of 55. Our next match, Junior Heavyweight Championship match, as Hermenegildo Ramirez puts his title on the line against Emilio Suarez. Emilio Suarez came in clutch for Hermenegildo Ramirez a few months ago when Emilio made his return to the WHAM, accompanying Hermenegildo in a handicap match against Archie Fowler as a little bit of payback. Ultimately, we see Emilio Suarez getting a title shot against Ramirez, but Ramirez would come out on top, making his 11th defense of the WHAM Junior Heavyweight Championship and defeating El Espiritu in 1304 with a Hurricane Rana. Match rating is 66, really strong stuff here. Hermenegildo Ramirez with an in-ring performance of 73, El Espiritu with a 67, and another green wrestling rating of 70, but unfortunately the crowd just couldn't match that energy, leaving us still with a very respectable rating of 66. Now our main event, another banger. Our main events are just doing what we need them to do as of late, and it's lovely to see. Sebastian Morales has got the juice for a great match. Neil Allman this time, the star of the show, with an in-ring performance of 72, Sebastian Morales with a 63, and Neil Allman defeats Sebastian Morales, but not without some shenanigans. Of course, Bronson Fraley, Albie Dewberry are ringside. They're doing everything they can to give Neil Allman the advantage, give him every opportunity to come out on top. And we get back-to-back greatest matches of WHAM history, potential match of the year candidates. And that's phenomenal. You'll love to see it. Those green numbers just do something to my brain that hasn't been happening in years with this game. But Neil Allman, my gosh, star of the show, able to pick up the victory over Sebastian Morales with a really good performance. And despite it not being the cleanest of matches, Neil Allman does hit Sebastian Morales with the pounce for the 1-2-3. However, the segment is cooling down a bit compared to the match just prior, but the WHAM OGs launched an attack on Sebastian Morales after the match came to an end. Neil Allman led the charge as Bronson Fraley and Albie Dewberry landed devastating slams and immobilizing strikes to a man that had already depleted his energy. Neil Allman hit Morales with a pounce so powerful he was sent out of the ring. The WHAM OGs stood tall, proud of the destruction they've inflicted. Segment rating of 54 to end the show, and just an exclamation point on things as the WHAM OGs basically making a statement that Viva La Lucha doesn't hold a candle to the WHAM. So all in all, another really strong show. The Fortnite fisticuffs are coming correct. I hope our Glory Gauntlet will match that as well. We get an overall show rating of 68, growing our popularity in all 6 regions. That's exactly what we need, and an absolute banger of a main event. After the show, we praise Mariana Calvo, Duke Wellington, and Super Rabbit, profiting $76,000 and just under $77,000, and tangible increases all across the board in America, Mid-South, Midwest, Southeast, Southwest, up to 59, 38, 33, and 34 respectively, still at 25 in our Mexico regions. And as you can see, Jackson Barden and Kamari Flanders are now officially no longer with the WHAM. We gotta pause and take a moment and just acknowledge Henry Leadhands Worthshire, who put in the star performance of FNP's Suicide Solution. Look at that. Funny enough, he was the opening match, and he got an in-ring performance of 54, absolutely smacking Joe Bryant around, who's a big dude. But Henry Leadhands Worthshire may just have a bright future here in FNP as he moves up the card a little bit. You can see his popularity still isn't great. Really good in-ring stats, but the popularity leaves some room to be desired. We've also got Jerome Parks confirming his new contract as he begins work here in the WHAM. Hopefully he relocates soon, because right now he's based in New Zealand. That's quite the travel. But I'm looking forward to maybe having the heir for Kenny Lyles here in place. Do I want him to have gray hair? I might have to change that picture. I don't know. And heading into the next show, we see that Blue Mage and Craig Bean both received offers from SPW. SPW is actively trying to break up the Dark Carnival. That's not cool. But fortunately for us, they didn't have any interest in signing with SPW as they turned it down. And before we get into the Fortnite fisticuffs, we gotta check out the world of the database. Some big happenings over in Goof Wrestling. As Albie Dewberry left, they brought in Mustafa Bozeman, who was formerly with SPW for quite a while. They didn't really use him much at all, so he ended up leaving SPW, and now he's with Goof Wrestling, and he's already gotten a match with Goof since going on. He's only had 2 matches with SPW all year in 1933, didn't have any matches in 32, 9 matches in all of 1931, so you can see Mustafa Bozeman has been needing some work, and honestly, he would have been a good play a while back to bring him in. 79 brawling, he could have grown into a really good star, but I didn't want to touch him because he was SPW property, and I didn't want to vulture too many of their guys, but kind of a missed opportunity here with Mustafa Bozeman, who could have been a force in the database if given a chance. But we also see Ryuichi Minami has quit Goof after being stiffed on his payment from Corey Sherman, meaning that they will be filling another spot on the roster fairly soon. But if we check out their last results, only real notable match is Mustafa Bozeman getting back in action, picking up a victory, had an Intercontinental title match that saw a successful retention. Of course, that seems to be his thing. Let's check on his development a little bit. He's definitely turning into a decent wrestler over in Goof. Lionel Seidel is someone that we're going to keep an eye on. Whether I ever actually bring him in to the WAM, I have not really put any true thought to it, but he is getting a ton of work in Goof, and we're seeing a lot of growth from him, honestly. Popularity is at 14 in the Mid-Atlantic. Goof isn't popular at all. That's not what you go to Goof for. You go to the Goof to hone your abilities and train your stats, not necessarily get uber popular. They have moved up to 15 popularity in the Mid-Atlantic though, chasing the tiny size. You can also see in the world of wrestling that TWA has surpassed Ogre Wrestling. They're just not putting enough shows to continue that growth, I think. We know how good the wrestlers over here in Ogre are though. But congratulations to TWA to moving up to being the number 5 company in the world. We could see Friedrich Herzog getting in-ring performances of 39 over here. Looks like the man is starting to lose his in-ring capabilities by quite a bit. QCW's most recent show featured George Cavendish back in the main event, picking up a victory over Roy Trawick, or a young Roman Reigns. And you know, I don't play this game to play matchmaker, but it's a beautiful thing to see that Super Rabbit and Super Monkey have now begun dating. However, it is time for the 3rd edition of the Fortnite Fisticuffs. In this episode, a big road to the Glory Gauntlet was in store, and we've got some pre-show matches. Now that we're loaded up with 2 referees, we can just be a little crazy with the pre-show matches. We're not going to get too crazy. But anyway, we've got 3 of them. The first one being 3-on-3 tag team action. Annalena Pena teaming up with Barakui to defeat Talia Rayleigh, Dean Florian, and Raul LaBoy. As far as the numbers go, not too bad. Berrigan with a 48, Kukui with a 52, Annalena Pena with a 43, Raul LaBoy with a 45, Dean Florian with a 38, and Talia Rayleigh with a 39. Match rating of 48, not bad. Another tag team match where there were times where a definite lack of psychology was on display. Unfortunate. But we've got Maxwell Ham and Moses Lilia teaming up to defeat Ollie Schaefer and Rocco Lockwood. Ollie Schaefer's looking much better. He's got an in-ring performance of 41 despite being off of his game. He's going to be alright. Moses Lilia, however, looking great with an in-ring performance of 64. Maxwell Ham picking up the pinfall victory for his team in an in-ring performance of 60, and Rocco Lockwood with a 36. Our final pre-show match features the junior heavyweights as we get ready for the Glory Gauntlet, as we've got Sean Kaiser and Jeremy Funderburk taking a loss to Joe Cartwright and RT Lincoln. Not too surprising there, as we've got 2 new-faced junior heavyweights in Funderburk and Kaiser going up against 2 former junior heavyweight champions in Cartwright and Lincoln. Cartwright with an in-ring performance of 60, best of the match. Lincoln with a 56, Funderburk with a 37, and Kaiser with a 33. We get a match rating of 51 for our final pre-show match. However, Emilio Suarez is in the ring to begin the show, and immediately states why he's out here. He has an issue with Neil Allman and the Wham OGs. Not only did they brutalize Sebastian Morales, but they slandered the name of Viva La Lucha, Suarez's company. Emilio claims he has a team of Lucha Libre stars here in the Wham that are more than willing to prove to Neil Allman that Viva La Lucha is the premier source for professional wrestlers. Segment rating of 48 here. The Wham OGs launched an attack on Sebastian Morales. At the last event, Sebastian Morales actually just lost his championship. His near 5-year title reign has come to an end in Viva La Lucha. He lost it to Masked Porcupine. We can go over that after the card here. But anyway, side note, that is not the most important thing. But they attacked Morales and they called Viva La Lucha an inferior company, basically. And Emilio Suarez apparently doesn't like his star Sebastian Morales being beaten up on, but also, more importantly, cannot stand the fact that they are slandering the name of Viva La Lucha. So segment rating of 48 to get things going here. Our first match of the night is a solid triple threat with Rahan Marlowe making his way back into the ring. Now that he has taken on the role of road agent, I gotta remember that he gets technically used for the shows pretty quickly and make sure I continue to book him and I don't forget about him. But he comes that way victorious and with the best in-ring performance of the match with a 57, Woodrow Gunter with a 54, and Brian Hatcher with a 44. We get a match rating of 54 to get the crowd a little warmed up. Unfortunately, this match was not a good match, but it was to be expected given what we had going. This is a qualifier for the Glory Gauntlet, and we would see Yoshimi Yohara officially stamp his spot into the Glory Gauntlet match, defeating the Great Matsuo. The Great Matsuo is not a legit in-ring competitor. He's more of a manager than anything, but he does occasionally grapple between the ropes. We just get a poor match rating of 36, Yohara with an in-ring performance of 35, Matsuo with a 37. Yohara is getting into the Glory Gauntlet. We've got one more of these qualifying matches to go tonight. Up next, we've got Turner Spittler defeating August Washburn in 7 minutes 4 seconds. Thanks to the Power Body Slam, another dominant performance here at the hands of Turner Spittler, putting down August Washburn. In-ring performance of 61, while August Washburn only gets 29, we get a match rating of 48. Not great, but it keeps things moving. However, Turner Spittler stops at the commentary desk as he makes his leave from the match. Turner Spittler screams at the announcers, and it is caught through their microphones. Turner Spittler is not afraid of the Dark Carnival. Segment rating of 53, keeping things going between Turner Spittler. He was confronted by the Dark Carnival at the last event, and he's basically just showing that he's going to keep doing what he's doing, and he's not afraid of them. Now we've got a great match from the ladies as Berbidia Abeta coming out with what may be a surprising victory, coming out with an upset victory over the Wham Women's Champion. However, this is a non-title match, so Berbidia does not become champion, unfortunately for her, but we get a match rating of 54. Berbidia Abeta with a 47, Mio coming out on top with a 56. Mio coming up short here, but still champion, getting a 56, and these two have great chemistry, so we're going to continue running it back as we have this small women's division, and we're going to continue to find ways to get them in the ring together as we do have a very small women's division right now. Now, the next match, better than what I thought it would be, is Archie Filer's chance to cement himself into the Glory Gauntlet. This has Hermenegildo Ramirez written all over it. However, there is no Hermenegildo Ramirez in sight. Unfortunately for Archie Filer, he was dominating the match. He was keeping things flowing. He was in the driver's seat, looking good. But unfortunately, Akihiko Onoda would actually come away with a huge victory after Sean Kaiser, confusingly, came in and attacked Archie Filer. We did have Jerome Parks as referee in this one, so he wasn't as savvy as Kenny Wiles to pick up on the interference from Sean Kaiser, but it would cost Archie Filer and his spot in the Glory Gauntlet. Massive shakeup here, massive turn of events for Archie Filer, who was expecting to be in the Glory Gauntlet match, getting his shot at the Junior Heavyweight Championship, which seems to be rather elusive while it's held by Hermenegildo Ramirez. But we get a match rating of 47, like I said, better than what I thought it would be given the ending, how it went. We had to protect Archie Filer like crazy so he wasn't just furious at this match. However, Akihiko Onoda picks up a huge upset in what I believe is his first match on the main card. Now our main event comes correct. We really needed it because this wasn't the greatest show by numbers. But we have a massive main event, a 6-man tag team match. Match rating of 69, another really strong one, with the Wham OGs coming out on top. This is a truly star-studded match in terms of just global wrestlers as well, but also the Wham. We've got 3 pillars of the company, Albie Dewberry, Bronson Fraley, and Neil Allman, taking on 3 very formidable competitors that have worked both in the Viva La Lucha and the Wham. Emilio Suarez, Super Monkey, and Sebastian Morales. We see some really good numbers here. Super Monkey with a 74, Neil Allman with a 76, Espiritu with a 67, Sebastian Morales 63, Bronson Fraley 57, and Albie Dewberry with a 48. But in the end, Neil Allman and the Wham OGs are able to pull out enough shenanigans to end the match by hitting Super Monkey with the pounce and collecting the pinfall victory. Emilio Suarez not happy with the way that this one went down. Sebastian Morales still not 100% and beside himself now that he's no longer El Campeón over in Viva La Lucha. But another major main event. Strong overall rating of 65, that is right where we need to be to increase our popularity in all 6 regions. And after the show, we praise Talia Rayleigh, Jerome Parks, give him some encouragement for his first night on the Wham, and Mariana Calvo. Strong profit, just under $100,000. And no tangible increases in America, but we do see our Mexico regions jump from 25 to 26. And we have accumulated a few more character ideas, so we're going to go ahead and try some of them out, try to fix Mariana Calvo's poor morale and momentum. Still annoyed, but her momentum got better. Another success, no big change there. Let's try one more on her, because I know it's pretty bad for her. At least her momentum is in the green now. Not great, but it's better than where it was. Diego Bergen, he's annoyed, but we do have a character idea for him, so we're going to try that one. It was a success. He's still annoyed. He does not like the fact that we employed Emilio Suarez. And we've got one more character idea that we'll use on Talia Rayleigh. It was a success, and she goes from annoyed to pleased, so we get some success there. Gentlemen, it is time for the Glory Gauntlet. Once again, it's that time of year. We've got a huge show, and hopefully this is enough to propel us into the medium size when all is said and done. We've got some pre-show matches, you gotta have them. And we are chocked full, we got just about everybody on the card tonight. Our first pre-show match, tag team action with Ollie Schaefer and Sheila Velasco defeating Rhea Quarry and Rocco Lockwood. Just keeping everybody involved, and we can see that Ollie Schaefer continues to grow, reaching an in-ring performance of 46. We've got the locker room inspired, so everyone should be coming with some heightened in-ring performances. Ollie Schaefer's looking good here, carried the match in terms of in-ring performance. He got a 46, Velasco 33, Lockwood 35, and Rhea Quarry 34. Our next pre-show match, a 4-way match between the ladies, as Annalena Pena, Ivy Baldridge, Talia Rayleigh, and Mariana Calvo all square up. We see 3 out of the 4 ladies get 40s and above, which is a good sign. Mariana Calvo was really off her game, so there's a chance that she may be creeping up into the 40s if all things were even. However, despite having the lowest in-ring performance of the match, Mariana Calvo actually comes away with the victory after she pinned Annalena Pena, landing a big punch. And Pena actually had the best in-ring performance of the match at 46. She's looking really good. Ivy Baldridge, a former contender, a Women's Wham Prix finalist, getting a 43, and Talia Rayleigh with a 40. Another pre-show match brings the tag team champions, unfortunately not on the main card, but still in a really competitive matchup, as they compete against and defeat Woodrow Gunter and Maxwell Ham. We've been using Ham and Gunter as a team for quite a bit. We know that Matu Scarborough is very disappointed in them and their inability to gain the Oklahoma Openweight Championship from Chuck Wellington. However, that has nothing to do with this match. The tag team champions of Barracuda in this non-title match come away victorious. And we just get a little segment after the match, still part of the pre-show, that Kitahachi Kukui requests the microphone as the team make their leave through the curtain, stating it's a blatant slap in the face. They were excluded from the main match card tonight. Kitahachi Kukui has great performance stats, so I just want to find him opportunities to show that. Unfortunately, we just get a segment rating of 48, but it is just part of the pre-show. Now, getting into our actual show itself, as Mio makes her way down to the scheduled title defense against Burbidia Abeta, the champion claims that both managers, Annalena Pena and Rhea Quarry, are barred from ringside, threatening the match will not take place without such stipulations. Mio took a loss to Burbidia Abeta at the last event. She believes it's got a lot to do with her manager, Annalena Pena. She wants Pena gone from ringside. Burbidia Abeta will oblige to that, but Mio is not strong in the performance sector. She's really good in the ring, but just not strong charismatically. So we just get a poor segment rating of 30. Unfortunate. However, the match is a good match. We've got Mio coming out on top, defending her women's championship successfully with no outside forces, no ulterior distractions to take away from this match. Just one-on-one, Birbidia Abeta showing really good promise in the ring with an in-ring performance of 55, keeping up with Mio, who got a 56. All in all, we get a match rating of 52, and this is a good way to start the show, not so much with that first segment, but a successful championship defense from Mio. Now up next, we've got Gary G. Emick in the ring with Black Bull, citing that a spectacle is before the audience. Gary G. Emick takes some time to put over the massive heavyweight champion, opening the opportunity of an open challenge for any worthy opponent. Gary reiterates this will be a non-title bout, given the lack of a solidified contender. So we don't want to leave the heavyweight champion off the card. He had a banger with Sebastian Morales, but he's been laying low ever since. And so we got to keep him on, we got to feature him on this huge show that is the Glory Gauntlet. He's the heavyweight champion, and as we continue to search for that next contender, he just poses an open challenge. So we'll see what comes from it, and we get Moses Lilia stepping to the plate, ready to put on a physical contest with our heavyweight champion Black Bull. Now, Moses Lilia is a very good competitor. As you can see, he gets an in-ring performance of 63, matching up with Black Bull 64. He's a large man. He can go toe-to-toe with the large stature that is Black Bull. However, he is not the heavyweight champion. Black Bull comes away clean in a physical and entertaining match that would see the champion going over on Moses Lilia in a non-title match. Just under 8 minutes with this one, finishing things up with a gore, and we get a match rating of 58. Now in our next match, Archie Filer continues to wow as he gets an in-ring performance of 80 as he picks up a victory over Sean Kaiser. Sean Kaiser sabotaged Archie Filer and his chances of becoming junior heavyweight champion and even competing in the Glory Gauntlet, costing him a big match. And as you can see here, Filer is not going to be competing in the Glory Gauntlet match as he is scheduled for this match tonight. This one didn't take long as Archie Filer just showed his might, proving that he is a top tier competitor in the junior heavyweight division in all of Wham. This is the best in-ring performance that I've seen thus far with an 80. My goodness. Sean Kaiser, he's got some potential, but he's not there yet. He just gets an in-ring performance of 29, but he does get some rub with a really prominent and popular wrestler getting a one-on-one match despite taking the loss. We get a match rating of 62, better than what I thought it'd be, but if we put Archie Filer with someone legit, this could be another 70 on our hands. Just a phenomenal in-ring showing with that 80 performance from Filer. And they got great chemistry, so it's a good thing there, but unfortunately, Kaiser was really off of his game. Now moving into our next match, another very physical contest between two very large men, as Turner Spittler and Blue Mage will butt heads, as Blue Mage, representing the Dark Carnival, looking to bring some consequence to Turner Spittler, and Blue Mage actually came in looking excellent with an in-ring performance of 69. Turner Spittler had a 61, but Turner Spittler would be the man to come out victorious here. We get a match rating of 65, but we also get Rahan Marlowe poking his head out and attacking Blue Mage during the match. Turner Spittler would clean things up, hit that power body slam, and collect the pinfall, but after the match, Rahan Marlowe has aligned with Turner Spittler, and the two begin an attack on the Dark Carnival. While Blue Mage is down, Marlowe and Spittler go after Hines and Craig Bean. Bryant Hines struggles to defend himself, but Bean puts up a fight. However, once Hines is taken out, Marlowe and Spittler are able to turn their attention to Craig Bean. Marlowe and Spittler launch Craig Bean into the barricade and leave him motionless. They then turn their attention to Blue Mage, who is getting back to his feet. Spittler and Marlowe then begin an isolated attack on Blue Mage. Spittler once again makes an attempt to rip off a mask, as he did with Black Bull. Blue Mage would resist long enough for Craig Bean to collect himself and come to his aid. Rahan Marlowe and Spittler ran off, but sent a vicious message as a ruthless duo had aligned. Segment rating of 51, Rahan Marlowe and Turner Spittler have aligned. Rahan Marlowe's always been a pretty clean worker, not taking too many liberties. He's very physical, but he's not like heelish in that way. But aligning with Turner Spittler takes all of that away. They are going to be a ruthless duo. Rahan Marlowe on a path to reinvent himself after losing the Wham Heavyweight Championship. It's been quite a while since doing so, but things have just kind of slid and gone in a downwards trend for him. So things may change now that he's teaming alongside Turner Spittler. Now in our next match, we've got the Oklahoma Openweight Championship on the line as Super Monkey is scheduled for some double duty tonight. He's got this match, and he will be taking part of the Glory Gauntlet tonight, but let's get through this one first. Super Monkey, of course, shocking the Wellingtons when he defeated Chuck for the Oklahoma Openweight Championship just 5 days before his 1-year anniversary of becoming champion. Chuck Wellington wants his rematch, and of course the Wellington boys are going to do whatever they can to pull some shenanigans and thwart Super Monkey. However, Super Monkey comes out of this one strong. In-ring performance of 77, and he is able to topple Chuck Wellington once again, securing his Oklahoma Openweight Championship. Chuck Wellington got an in-ring performance of 45, not bad, but just not like what Super Monkey can do in the ring. And thanks to that excellent rating from Super Monkey, we get a match rating of 63. And this is the first successful defense of the Oklahoma Openweight Championship for Super Monkey. Now in our semi-main event, we've got the Wham OGs clashing with some Viva La Lucha stars. Super Monkey was the one that took the pinfall in that 3-on-3 tag match at the last event, and Emilio Suarez just calls bullshit on that. He removes Super Monkey from the match, makes it a 2-on-2 match, so we've got Bronson Fraley and Neil Allman teaming up to take on Sebastian Morales and Emilio Suarez. And in another exciting match, as Viva La Lucha has got some really good competitors, I'm not going to slight them in any way. The Wham OGs, of course, they are powerhouses in their own right, but Sebastian Morales is able to pin Bronson Fraley, hitting the top rope splash, and shocking the Wham OGs. Neil Allman and Bronson Fraley couldn't believe that they took the loss here. Sebastian Morales seemed off his game, but he still got a 66. Emilio Suarez got a 70, Neil Allman with a 77, Bronson Fraley with a 58. So if you can believe it, Sebastian Morales getting a little get back on the Wham OGs after their attack on him. Emilio Suarez is pretty happy with Team Viva La Lucha coming away victorious here, and this was an exciting bout. High intensity matchup, just over 14 minutes. Neil Allman doing his thing, Bronson Fraley showing some power, Morales and his Spear 2 using their high-flying prowess to wow the crowd, and all in all, very strong. However, our main event, this one is rough. We absolutely killed our chances of a good show rating with our main event in this Glory Gauntlet. As you can see, segment rating of 49, just too many things working against us. However, let's keep to the story here because this match is still a huge match regardless of how things get scored here. We've got a 10-man Glory Gauntlet match. This is a gauntlet style where men will enter in intervals of, let's just say, 2 minutes, given that how long this match ended up, but this was the first time we tried it being as long as it was. It was 25 minutes and it was just too long. Unfortunate. 2 men start in the match. It is elimination by pinfall or submission. It's not designed to leak out to the outside of the ring, but things can happen, whatever. But we see Jeremy Thunderberg and Akihiko Onoda starting the match off, and Akihiko Onoda surprised the world and the Wham fan base when he defeated Archie Filer. Granted, it was due to some shenanigans caused by Sean Kaiser, who got his comeuppance earlier in the night, but regardless, Akihiko Onoda does have a victory over Archie Filer in singles competition. He starts the match off with Jeremy Thunderberg. Things start off fast-paced, competitive. Jeremy Thunderberg takes a quick elimination. We would then see RT Lincoln make his way out to the ring, who would battle with Akihiko, and Yoshimi Yohara would eventually enter the ring. Akihiko would be eliminated, Yoshimi would be eliminated, and we'd have RT Lincoln and Joe Cartwright going one-on-one for a bit until Raw Boy entered the match. RT Lincoln would be eliminated, Joe Cartwright would take an elimination, and we would be left with Raw Boy and Dean Florian, the most recent Wham returnee, going one-on-one. Another Wham returnee in Albie Dewberry would enter the match, and we would have 3. We would have all these guys until Super Monkey entered the match, and that's when the eliminations began to happen again. Raw Boy would get eliminated, Dean Florian would follow after, Albie Dewberry would make it to the final 3 before being eliminated, and we would be left with Super Monkey and Hermenegildo Ramirez one-on-one to crown the Junior Heavyweight Champion. And in the end, we would see Hermenegildo Ramirez successfully defend his championship, taking advantage of being the one to enter the Glory Gauntlet last. This is the first time the champion has entered last, but he is able to outlast the last few but he was able to withstand the last few competitors, taking down Super Monkey specifically, which is no easy feat, although he did have to serve some double duty tonight. And when the dust had settled, we saw Hermenegildo Ramirez standing tall as junior heavyweight champion. We're not going to be able to see the individual ratings from this screen, but we will be able to go back and look at it. Now, Hermenegildo Ramirez was really off of his game, but he also got a bonus for the great performance of Hermenegildo Ramirez really stood out. And Super Monkey also looked excellent out there, so we know that Ramirez and Super Monkey came correct, but unfortunately, Akihiko Onoda sustained a bruised tailbone, Yoshimi Yuhara was really off of his game. The match dragged at the end as it was too long for the workers to really keep an all-out pace going. We did try to steal the show, and that is my fault. The match was just too long to do that at 25 minutes. So this is really going to hamper our overall show rating. Thanks to this 49 here, we're probably not growing the popularity that we were hoping for, but I'm still feeling good about the show in whole. Yes, as you can see, we're going to lose popularity in the Mid-South, hopefully not tangibly. We just get a show rating of 51, but aside from a stinker of a main event ratings-wise, this was a really strong show that I don't feel bad about. We had multiple matches over 60. We had Turner Spiller and Blue Mage turning in a 65. Ella Spear Chu and Sebastian Morales defeating the Wham OGs was a 69. Super Monkey and Chuck Wellington were able to put together a 63. Archie Filer even carried a no-name guy to a 62. So we're going to be fine. This isn't the outcome we were hoping for, but I'm not worried. And after the show, we praised Super Rabbit, Ivy Baldridge, and Mariana Calvo. Akihiko Onoda's bruised tailbone is very minor, 7-day duration, but he can work through it anyway. Our first time clearing $100,000 in profit, major change from where we used to be, and our post-show finances puts us over $1 million for the very first time. We do lose popularity in the Mid-South, but we're still at 59, and thanks to us being at 59 and our gain in the Southwest, we are going to reach the medium size after this show, despite the low rating. Very fortunate there. Yes sir, as you can see, Wham rise to medium size. Let's go. Alright, that feels good. Now our next goal, to reach big size, this is going to take a minute, but we've got to reach 77 popularity in at least 5 mainland US regions. So we've got the Mid-South, of course, Midwest, Southeast, Southwest all have decent starts, but we got to decide which is going to be that 5th focus area. Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, Northwest? Probably Northwest, maybe, who knows. We will just take over every part of America that SPW is not in. But anyway, that feels good. I'm glad we have reached that point, and we will be expanding our broadcasting here soon. But it's going to be a fine line, as we got to make sure we don't ever drop beneath medium, because we still are growing our company faster than we're growing our stars technically, because our most popular, this is Emilio Suarez, not even the best. This is Emilio Suarez, not even like a true Wham guy, but he's our most popular, 52 popularity. Neil Allman, 52. Black Bull still at 52, hitting a little bit of a glass ceiling at 52, but his star quality is 60, so I don't know. But we need to find a major star, because we don't have a major star right now. So we've got plenty of developments to make once we do reach that medium size, and I'm really excited to do it. And as we check out of this episode, we've got some things to look at in the database. Moses Lilia getting some work in CSW as he has accepted a handshake deal. He honestly could just slide right in and be a main eventer right away. I'd love to see that for him. And as you can see in the standings of the entire world, we are still behind SPW despite reaching medium size, and that is solely because of SPW's presence in Mexico. There's no other reason for it. So a big point of focus is going to be expanding our coverage in Mexico, so we can truly take that number 2 spot. Because if it's in terms of America, we're still only number 2, unfortunately. Viva La Lucha is just a powerhouse. They've got 40 in the Mid-South, 40 Southwest, and 30s in 2 other, 20s in 3 others. Viva La Lucha is the company that we really got to watch out for. And since we're looking at Viva La Lucha, let's just confirm it. Sebastian Morales' reign as campeón over in Viva La Lucha lasted 1,629 days, just under 5 years, 30 defenses, my goodness, but Masked Porcupine is definitely a guy to take over that reign because he is also fantastic. We've looked at him before. He is going to be a major star. He's only 26 years old. However, now that we've reached medium size, I might be making Sebastian Morales and Super Monkey exclusive to the WAM. Some I'm thinking about, haven't decided entirely. We're going to keep an eye on it. Now for the rest of the database, Ogre has dropped to number 10 in the world. They did have their 4th event though, and the main event would see George Tragos defeating Dominic Theotokopoulos with a match rating of 58, Tragos in-ring performance of 65, Dominic with a 45, Lou Thez getting a victory over Jaron Shippers, Thez with an in-ring performance of 46, not bad for a 17-year-old. You love to see any kind of activity over here with Ogre. Goof Wrestling actually picked up Kamari Flanders. That's awesome. And it looks like Kamari Flanders was also signed by SPW. That's not the best decision for SPW, honestly. I know there are better guys on the market than that, but SPW is just doing their own thing, man. Seems that Kamari Flanders is the only recent signing from SPW, but suit yourself. Last few shows at SPW would see Iron Elias Kruger defeat Keith Truax again. Then Elias Kruger would be back in the ring at the next event, losing to Super Demon and Steven Vecchio. Unfortunately, no Blackjack Brutus Malloy. What the hell? QCW once again with another up and down show. No George Cavendish on this one. Daniel Loisel main eventing by defeating Luan Nelson for the top contender title. And one other thing that I noticed that I thought was absolutely hilarious is the Crunchers features Pickleman. That is awesome. Gary Cowell's actually on a tag team called the Crunchers. That's a big deal. That is a big deal. Black Demon and Ollie Schaefer getting some work in TWA, even a part of the best match of their last event. And Gorgeous Goretzky teaming up with the Great Matsuo to defeat Brian Hatcher and somebody else in this match for TWA. So the database is alive and well, and you love to see it. We've got some big things coming up as we near the end of 1933, so thank you guys once again for sticking with me through this journey. Leave some feedback down below. Tell me what you want to see here in the WAM. Tell me how you think things are going. But otherwise, I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.